The Beatles brought international fame to Merseyside, and the council gratefully awarded them the freedom of the city.
It's 10 Matthew Street, the address of the Cavern, where the Beatles took the pop world by storm. Others have since used it to make a Mersey sound stay world famous. A new look, super with it extended Cavern was being opened by the Premier. And in the crowd, as Bessie Braddock, the uncrowned Queen of Liverpool, escorted Harold Wilson, were Mrs. Wilson and her son Giles. Some time ago, the Prime Minister said he would open the new Cavern, and here he was, in the cellar, where it all began.
The Cavern was turned into a tourist attraction and was reopened by the Prime Minister, Harold Wilson. I was there. I got his autograph.
Wishing and hoping and thinking and praying, planning and dreaming each night of a charms that won't get you into her arms. So if your lips find love, you can share. All you gotta do is hold her and kiss her and love her, then show her that you care. Show her that you care just for her. Do
the 1965 Cup Final at Wembley, a soccer war of the roses. Liverpool versus Leeds. Played in the presence of the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh, not a single goal was scored in the whole of the 90 minutes. The first period of extra time was dramatic, with a goal from Roger Hunt after 3 minutes. Then Billy Bremner of Leeds equalised after 11 minutes. In the second period of extra time, it was Ian St John's header that clinched it. Liverpool 2, Leeds 1, and Liverpool had the cup for the very first time ever. Ron Yeats led his team to the Royal Box to be presented with the FA Cup. The team went on to the semi-final of the European Cup, losing to Inter Milan, having won the league championship the previous year, and again in 1966. They also reached the final of the European Cup Winners' Cup, only to lose to Borussia Dortmund. Bill Shankly's efforts at this time were more notable in laying down the foundations for later successes. In the 2 decades of the 70s and 80s, Liverpool were to win 10 league championships, 6 European trophies, 3 FA Cup finals and 4 League Cup finals. A record both unprecedented and unsurpassed. And what about Everton? 1966, the same year that Liverpool won the league, Everton reached the FA Cup final at Wembley. Another war of the roses, this time against Sheffield Wednesday. Within 4 minutes, Sheffield were 1 up. Alex Young tried for an equaliser, but he was offside. Early in the second half, Sheffield were 2 up, but Everton didn't despair. They attacked, and 21-year-old Mike Trebleco made it 1-2. Then again, with another goal, he made it 2-2, 2-2, the most dramatic second half for years. Left winger Derek Temple scored the last goal of the match. Everton 3, Sheffield 2. What a recovery. The cup is presented by Princess Margaret. The decade of the 60s wasn't all music and football. New industries flourished. It was a city glowing with success. No one knew it was to be perhaps the last fling before the challenges of the 70s and the 80s. You were proud to say you came from Liverpool, wherever you were in the world. City of change. One institution that disappeared was Liverpool University Rag Week, or Panto Week as it was called. It was all done in aid of local charities, such as this presentation of a Meals on Wheels van to the WVS, accepted on their behalf by Frida Lady Leverhulme. This new occupational home for epileptics at McGill, to be known as Guild House, after the Guild of Students. Let's let's look at some of the antics the students got up to, such as the 1,000,001 Darts Championship, played over 7 days and 7 nights by students camping outside Lewis's store.
Her kisses will start, that won't get you into.
And speaking of Lewis's, how about providing a little bit of modesty for Epstein's famous statue, standing exceedingly bare outside Lewis's building?
All you gotta do is hold her and kiss her and love her. She'll show
The glamorous and gorgeous Miss Panto Week was on this occasion judged at New Brighton Tower Ballroom by some famous personalities, some very, very famous personalities, accompanied by Bill Gregson and his orchestra. There was also the riverboat shuffle on the fish and chip boat, the Royal Iris, which was part of the river scene from 1951. "Do you come here often, Gail? Come out this dance?" was the usual greeting to a new dancing partner. "Only in the mating season, and I'm sorry I'm took," was the reply.
So if you're thinking how
A city-to-city chariot race between Liverpool and Manchester was a novel idea. This one was almost sabotaged by Bangor University students.
and love her, yeah, just do it. And after you
The climax was on the Saturday, Panto Day. There was a fabulous fun parade through the city, which brought traffic to a standstill while it took over Liverpool's roads. Sadly for some, it came to an end when things got out of hand and students got arrested for various misdemeanors. Many used it as an excuse to go over the top, giving cause for the public and the city council to complain. For example, would you like a bag of flour to be thrown over your suit, even if it was accidentally on purpose in the aid of fun and charity? The River Mersey in the 60s was a very busy and commercially active river. Passenger liners still frequented the landing stage at the pier head, and the ferries still carried much commuter traffic from the Wirral to Liverpool. The Royal Iris, owned by the Wallasey Corporation, operated regular river cruises by day and night. She ruled the Mersey from 1951 for 40 years, being pensioned off in the early 90s and sold off. She now languishes in South Wales, uncared for. It's a great pity that no money was available on Merseyside to allow refurbishment to keep the Royal Iris on the river as a tourist and leisure attraction. The other ferry boats were owned by the Birkenhead and Wallasey corporations and changed from steam to diesel at the beginning of the decade. At the end of the 60s, they would be vested in the new Merseyside Passenger Transport Authority. The great passenger liners still cross the Atlantic from Liverpool. November 1960, an old ship, the Cunard ex-White Star Line Britannic, leaves the Mersey for the last time. She still sailed in the White Star colours with a buff and black funnel, and never carried the red and black funnel of the Cunard. At 27,000 tons, she plied every third Friday from Liverpool via Cobb in Southern Ireland to New York in America. In April 1961, we see the maiden voyage departure of the flagship of the fleet, Empress of Canada, owned by Canadian Pacific Railways and built by Vickers Armstrong of Newcastle. At 27,000 gross tons, with 16 steam turbines geared to twin propellers, she made an impressive sight on the Liverpool waterfront. She was 650 feet long and 87 feet wide. Her sister ships helped to provide a regular service to Canada. These were the Empress of Britain, built in 1956, and the Empress of England, built in 1957. both about 2,000 tons lighter than the Empress of Canada. You could say these ships linked the British Railways and the Canadian Pacific Railway systems. At this time, most people still preferred the ocean crossing to flying. However, the days of the big jets and Concorde would soon be with us. There always seems to be at least one visitor who gets left behind saying farewell and tatty-bye. Thank goodness for the helpful tugs alongside for an easy trip back to dry land and Liverpool. Talking about tugs, let's join one for a little while. On our way, we pass the Empress of England. A customs launch. The Isle of Man steamer Snaefell, plying between Douglas and Liverpool. Atlas, the floating crane. Not as large as Goliath, probably the most well-known of all the floating cranes. And now let's take a trip on the ferry to New Brighton. Something, alas, you can no longer do. Within the city, much new development took place. One distinctive piece of architecture was the new Roman Catholic Metropolitan Cathedral of Christ the King. Archbishop Heenan is seen here on the 16th of July 1957 at his enthronement at the Pro-Cathedral of St. Nicholas, now the site of the Post Office HQ in Copperas Hill. He set the scene in wanting a new cathedral within a decade. The crypt of a massive cathedral to rival St. Peter's in Rome already existed, building having commenced in 1933. It would have taken over a century to complete. Nearly 300 architects competed for the design of a new modern cathedral. The design of Protestant Sir Frederick Gibbet rose like a space rocket from the old foundations. It used modern construction methods and was built over a 5-year period between 1962 and 1967. It has been given various nicknames over the years, but the one that has stuck is Paddy's Wigwam. It may look unusual from the outside, but the inside, with the play of light through the various colored glass windows, is truly beautiful and remarkable. The new cathedral was consecrated